Okay, welcome back. So we'll start with the exception handling. That is the continuation to the previous video. Now we have already know why we use exception handling. There's two major reasons. The first, whenever we use the exception handling, the program does not terminate in between. Because if we use the default handlers, the program will terminate. The second thing, you will get more customized message. So the user that is using your application will have a better idea what is the reason behind the exception. We have measured 5 keywords that is being utilized to handle the exception handling, or you can say in this way, keywords that is generally used for exception handling. We have 5: try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. So in this video we'll try to cover the first three, that is try, catch, and finally. Now come to the try. Now try is a block, or you can say whatever the line of the code or the statements you want to write that may cause an exception to you. Again, you are not sure. The idea is write those line of the code into the try block that has a chance to get an exception. So you can say in this way, use to execute the statement whose execution may result an exception. You're not sure. You have only an idea. Okay, this particular line of the codes may result in exception. So that is the syntax basically written is in a red. That is just a simple block try, and then whatever the statement that have a chance you can put up as a here. Now the try block is either always have a catch block or a finally block, or with the both. This means whenever writing a try block, it must have a catch, or it must have a finally, or it must have the both. Now the catch is something is used as a to define a handler. So suppose you have written a part of the code in a try block that has a chance to get an exception. In this case, the catch block will basically try, or you will basically try to write all those things that will happen whenever that particular exception has triggered. It basically acts as a handler. It contains the statement that are to be executed when the exception represent by the catch block is generated. Means it represent whatever the line of the code or the statement you want to execute once the exception has generated or occurred. You should write those lines of the code in the catch block. If the program execute normally, then the statements of the catch block will not execute, obvious, as that suppose within the try block all the statement you have written does not trigger any of the exception, obviously none of the catch blocks will execute. If no catch block is found in a program, exception is caught by the JVM and the program is terminated. Obviously, see, the catch is like a user defined handler. Means if you not define your own handler, eventually the control will be transferred to the default handler. Means whatever the line of the code or the statements you are writing in the catch block works as a user defined handler. At the same time, if you will not write, in this case whenever the exception has been caught, the control will be transferred to the JVM and the program will terminate. I will take a very basic program and see how a try and a catch blocks generally works. For my purpose, I will use an ID, so the entire execution would be a faster and easy to understand. I will take a very normal example basically. So we have a class test try catch. Within the try block, I have written this statement at the line number 4. Enter data is equal to 50 divided by 0. Now obviously divide by 0 gives an arithmetic exception to me. In this case we'll write the catch block, and then we have this, have to see every exception is a class, so we need an object of that class. We'll pass the object of the class that we have a chance, and then within that we can write this particular line of the code that has to be executed. And after the catch, again the line number 10 will execute, because since we have defined our own handler, the program will continue to execute. So let me try to execute and see what happens in this case. See, you can see the output is exception handle and the rest of the code. I'm repeating it one time so that the idea could be clear. In this program, we're just trying to demonstrate a try catch block. Try generally used to write the part of those code that has a chance to get an exception. And the catch will be like, once the exception has been caught, the catch would be the responsible, works as a handler. What to be done once we have an exception occurred. So in this case, we are using a divide by zero, so it is an arithmetic exception. Within the catch block, we have to pass the object of that exception type, whatever the exception is possible. It could be arithmetic exception, it could be array index out of bound exception, it could be null pointer exception. There are multiple types. In this case, it is an arithmetic exception, so we have passed just used the arithmetic exception object e, and then you're just printing that particular thing, exception handler. Now one thing you note it down, since it is a user defined handler, the line number 10 still executes. Now if I try make it as a, suppose I did not have a try catch block here, what will happen in this case? Now this particular piece of the code does not have a try catch block. See, this is the previous output, you are aware. Let me try to execute it again. See, you will get a arithmetic exception divided by 0 again. This time it is being handled by the JVM. So the line number 9 doesn't execute it. If you try to write it back like with the try, if you try to with a try catch block, this time the line number 9 is being executed. The reason is you have a user defined handler this time. That is the major benefit we have. Come back. Now we have already seen this thing with what is the actual use of the catch. Now a particular portion of the code may have the like multiple possibilities of the exception, like different possibilities. In all those cases you can have multiple catch blocks. This is not an issue. Like in this particular example, we have declared the 3 different catch blocks. So we'll take an example again. Again, like what is the idea behind? See, I have a try block. In this, we are taking the two values from the command line argument. Then we are doing the divide, and then we are printing. Now, if there are 3 possibilities. For example, if the user, see, you have to pass it to the integer. This means you are just supposed to pass a number. If suppose user passes the string, you will get a number format exception here. That is the one chance at the line number 4 or 5. The second possibility is, suppose again for this particular division to be done, you need 2 inputs basically. For any of the reasons, suppose the user just pass only one input. In this case, the line number 5 will again generate an exception. That is, you are trying to access the array index 1 that is not available. Again in this case you will get array index out of bonds exception. The third possibility is like you will suppose the user has passed b as a 0, you will get an arithmetic exception. So we'll try all the 3 possible cases and see how these exceptions are possible actually. So let me compile this code. Suppose I have just passed only one exception. Sorry, just pass only one argument. In this case, what is the possible exception would be like array index out of bound exception, because it is expecting 2 inputs and you are just passing one only. In this case, so the control will be transferred to the line number 15, array index out of bound exception. It will give invalid number of arguments. See, you're getting an invalid number of arguments. Suppose this is not the case, user has passed something this. Again, you're trying to convert a string to the integer, not possible. You will get a number format exception here. So the arguments must be numeric. That is again an exception. And suppose this is not the case, user has passed 0. You will get a second number must be a non-zero. If everything is fine, you will get something like this. Result is fine. So the idea is, for a portion of a code that has been written in a try block, there is a chances that it may cause multiple types of exception. So for every possible exception, you have to declare a catch block that is relatable to that. For example, it could be an arithmetic exception, it could be a number format exception, even it could be array index out of bound exception. Like for every different type, you have to create a different catch block. So in this case, like we have three possibilities. So we have created three different catch blocks, and with the example I have already shown, like what are the possibilities to get the three different exceptions at a time. Hopefully the thing is clear from here. Now we'll move forward. So the idea is, if you look into this particular this normal flow chart, we have something as a in data is equal to 10 by 0. So an object of the exception class is thrown. So whenever the exception object is like has been caught, the second option is it is being handled or not. Handled means it is being handled by the user. If yes, the rest of the code will execute. If no, means the control is being transferred to the default handler. The JVM will print the execution exception description, prints the stack trace, and terminate the program. At the same time, if the user has declared the exception handler that is within the catch block, the catch statements will execute and the rest of the code will execute normally. Now we can have nested tries also, like within a try block you can have multiple try blocks also, is not an issue. So we'll see with an example again what is the nested try looks like. If we look into this code, we have a try block at the line number 3. Within that try block we have two more tries, and then we are again getting outside of the outer try. Now within the line number 4, this is the nested try. It is like going to divide, and you're divide by 0. So again you have a catch block that is arithmetic exception E, and then you're just printing the object. So whenever you print, you can also print the objects of the exception classes. In this case you will get the reason behind what is the reason why you're getting this exception, like divide by 0 in this case. Now again you could have one more try. You're trying to access, see, you're creating an array of 5 size. So obviously the array index will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. At the same time, at the line number 40, you're trying to access the 5th index. Obviously the 5th index is not present. In this case you will get a array index out of bound exception. Again you are printing E, so you will get that particular reason behind this particular exception, and then other statement will be executed. And then for the outer try we have this exception E that says as a handled. So obviously this try, both tries are working, this other statement will execute, and then this is a normal flow. We'll try to execute and see what is actually happening behind. So outputs are going to divide, that is obvious, and then java.lang.arithmetic exception divide by 0. Again you will get an array index out of bound exception, and then you are getting a system.out.println other statement, that is again you are getting as a print, and then the normal flow. Now those who are worried why this catch block has not been executed, because there is no line of the code within the outer try that is raising an exception. Now if you try, if you want, we can do in this way also. Now in this case I have, again it will cause a number format exception obviously, because I'm trying to convert a string to the integer. In this case this particular handle will also execute. See, going to divide, java.lang.arithmetic exception divide by 0, array index auto bond exception, and then this line number 21 again causing an exception to me. In this case the call will be transferred to the outer catch. Again it will print the handle and then the normal flow. So hopefully the idea of the nested try is clear. So it is like a try within a try. We have outer try and the nested tries. Come to something called as a generalized exception handler. A generalized exception handler is one that can handle exception of all types. Now suppose a particular portion of a code you have written in the try block, you can predict like, okay, these are the possible exceptions that can be occurred, like this is exception, this is the possible exception, like arithmetic exception, number format exception, or you can even say as a array index out of bonds exception. We have seen an example where you have multiple written as a 3 catch blocks. In this example basically I'm saying you have 3 catch blocks written, but there's certain moments where you're not sure that whatever the catch blocks you are writing will cover all the possibilities of the exception that may occur. I'm trying to say is like, you have a portion of a code and then you have to predict, okay, these are the possible reasons where the exception will occur, and then you will write all the catch blocks accordingly. But there is the chance that you may miss one of the possible exceptions. In this case again, whatever the hard work you are doing will not give you the fruitful result. For example, suppose you are writing a program, you have declared 3 exceptions. In this case, suppose all the 3 catch blocks you have written is unable to handle that exception that has arisen in a code. In this case the call will be again transferred back to the default handler and the program will terminate. So we have a concept called as a generalized exception handler. A generalized exception handler is one that can handle the exception of all type regardless of what type of the exception has been arised. If a class has a generalized as well as specific exception handler, then the generalized exception handler must be the last one. I mean, suppose you have 4 catch blocks and you are supposed to declare a generalized exception. The last catch block should have the generalized. You have to note it down. The last catch block will have the generalized exception handler. We'll see with an example. See, in this code we have 3 catch blocks. One is the arithmetic exception, the second is the array index out of bond exception, and the third is the generalized exception class directly. Now here you can see within the try block you have an array. You are trying to create an array of integers with the 5 size. In this case the indexes would be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now suppose at the line number 6, suppose somebody will try to access the 5th index. In this case what will happen? You are trying to access a particular index that is not present. You will get an exception like array index out of bond exception. I will try to execute and see what could be the possible output. See, it says, so the catch, that is the array index out of bond exception, has been executed. Within that we have a task 2 completed and rest of the code. Now suppose somebody has passed as a divide by 0. In this case let me see what will happen. Obviously it will give an arithmetic exception to me. So the task 1 completed and the rest of the code. Okay, fine. Now suppose if you have something that has not been handled, for example, see at the line number 7, you're trying to convert a string to the integer. Now this is a number format exception and a related catch block is not present. I'm repeating again. Line number 7, you're trying to convert a string to the integer and you did not have a catch block that try to deal with the number format exception. Hence the control will transfer to the generalized catch block at the line number 14. So the output would be common task completed and the rest of the code. Common task completed and the rest of the code. Now all the catch blocks must be ordered from the most specific to the more general. That is, the catch for the arithmetic exception must come before the catch for exception. That is the thing. Means whatever, see, all of the catch blocks that are the specific in the nature could be in any order you want, but at the same time the generalized exception class should be the last line in the list. So we are, in this case we are trying to declare the exception E in the last line. Suppose somebody by mistake, if you try to declare in between, what will happen in this case? See, it says again, you can see here this ID is able to identify. It says already been caught, means you are getting an error here. So make sure this should be the last line present, or you can also say as a last catch block. Okay, so hopefully the idea is clear. Now instead of the exception class, you can use the throwable class also. If you still remember the hierarchy, we have the throwable at the first level and then we have the exception and the error. So throwable and the exception both works as a generalized exception to me. The last is a finally keyword. Now the finally creates a block of the code that will be executed after the try catch block has completed and before the code following the try catch block will execute. So this means I'm trying to repeat, as soon as the try catch block work has been done and the next line of the code has, like whatever the line of the code after the catch block has not still executed, the finally will be in between of the that particular thing, means execution of try catch block, then the finally block, and then the last whatever the line of the code that is remaining after that. One thing you noted down, the finally block will execute whether or not an exception has been thrown, means exception occurred or not, the finally will execute no matter what. Exception is there, it is handled, the finally will work. Exception is there, it is not handled, means it is handled by the default handler, exception like finally will still work. There is no exception, still the finally will work. The three possibilities: exception is there, it is being handled, still the finally will block will work. Exception is there, it is not been handled, means the control is being transferred to the default handler, still the finally block will execute. The third is we have an exception not handled, sorry, it is like we did not have an exception in this case, still the finally block will execute. If an exception is thrown, the finally block will execute even if no catch statement matches the exception. This means exception is thrown, we did not have a catch block, means the controller has to be transferred to the default handler of the JVM, still the finally will execute. If a finally block is associated with a try, the finally block will execute upon the conclusion of a try block. The finally clause is an optional, however each try statement requires one catch or the finally clause. One thing you noted down, the finally is an optional clause. So what is the need of the finally block? Suppose you are writing a program for an IO on database application. You're trying to you have a secured login. So you put up your sign up password, you log into the account, and then you're trying to access a file. So for some of the reason or the network issue, the file is not available, you will get an exception. Now in this case, the finally block would be like, make sure that whatever this account you have logged in should be logged out. Means whatever the lines of the code that you want to execute it, regardless the exception has occurred or not, we generally put those lines into the finally block. We'll see with the three examples. See, in this case, we have 25 by 5 within a try block, hence no exception has been occurred. Still the finally will work. This example is like exception does not occur, still you can have the finally is being executed. One thing you note down, you could have multiple catch blocks, but there should be only one finally block. So what are the outputs are? It is just printing 5 because at the due to line number 7, just getting the data 25 divided by 5 is 5. Then the finally block is always executed and the rest of the code. So that is the syntax, or you can say that is the position where you write the finally after try catch block. Second is like exception occurred and not handled. See, it is a divide by 0 exception. 25 by divide by 0. So it is an arithmetic exception. So it's still in the line number 8. The catch block is trying to handle a null pointer exception. This means the control will be transferred to the default handler of the JVM. This means still the finally block will execute. The line number 10 will not execute, but still the finally will execute. See, the finally block is always executed, and this is something that is being handled by the JVM. The third example is exception occurred and handled at time. It is a divide by 0. With the same example, again this time the catch has an arithmetic exception. In this case, it is an arithmetic exception. Still, it is being handled here, and again still the finally block will execute. See, it is being handled. Finally block is always executed and the rest of the code. So the major 3 points you have to take it down from here is there's only one catch block. Sorry, there could be multiple catch blocks. There could be multiple catch blocks, but at the same time we could have only one finally block. And suppose exception occurred, handled, not handled, or exception doesn't occur, in all the cases the finally block will execute no matter what. So from here we'll continue in the next video with the throw and throws keyword. Thank you.